What's going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzly home of Memphis X, and I talk hoops. This week, we had one of the greatest NBA draft prospect matchups in draft history. We're going to talk about one of the prospects today and one of the prospects later on. But today is Victor Wembanyama. But first, every hero needs their theme music.
Piano.
Grizz gang, go hard. Baddest in the game, we be on one. I talk hoops so secure. All up on the court, but we gon' score. Memphis bringing heat straight from Tennessee. Demo spiking, let's go for he that MVP.
As someone who has followed the draft, and basically before the draft, I followed college basketball religiously, I can tell you the Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson matchup that happened this week was probably one of the highest levels of basketball I've ever seen played by NBA players that haven't made it to the NBA yet. I mean, I've seen some college games that were like that, but these guys were usually upperclassmen in college and NBA guys. For two 18-year-olds to play on that level on a big stage when they know everybody's watching was crazy to me. And I've watched some real great games. Like I said, I've been following basketball forever. I remember going to see Jason Kidd versus Corliss Williamson in high school when they played against each other, and Jason Kidd had a quintuple double, some ridiculous numbers. And at that point, Jason Kidd has always been the greatest high school player I have ever seen play live. Before that time, and really and truly, that's not what made me fall in love with basketball, but that made me fall in love with following high school and college prospects up through the pros. That was the one thing that made me love it. To see guys get better, to see the accomplishments they get from high school to when they retire. It's been, as somebody who would be considered an old head, this has been something that's always fascinated me. I love the draft. And honestly, this is going to be a draft that's going to reshape the entire NBA. Now, the reason why I say this is, yes, this is a strong draft, but we've had strong drafts. 2018, 21, I think these were some strong drafts. 1996 was a strong draft. But these are not drafts that reshape the entire NBA. The 2003 draft was a strong draft, LeBron's draft. It was a very good draft. Very high level, a lot of Hall of Fame level players, a lot of all-stars. These drafts, they affect the NBA a lot. But when I say a draft is going to change the NBA as we know it, this is because of Victor Wembanyama. He is something that other teams that plan on competing in the playoffs are going to have to deal with. It reminds me of Shaq. It reminds me of Ralph Sampson. It reminds me of the stories I've heard about Kareem AbdulJabbar when he came into college. And it reminds me of the stories I've heard about Wilt Chamberlain. These guys, when they come onto the scene, they fundamentally change the way other teams have to plan their roster moves. And Victor Wembanyama is going to do that. And I know we have a lot of big men that are going down. We have the Joker, Giannis, Embiid. But this is something different. This is the first of a new breed. A one of one, maybe. I'm not totally sure of that. But I know he is the first of a new breed, a 7-footer with guard skills. And I know KD had it, but KD played like a guard. This guy plays like a big, and he has guard skills. This is insane. And he is so tall, 7'3" from his own mouth, 7'3" barefoot. So he is clocking around 7'5" in NBA terms. Buttery shot. People have already declared him the greatest draft prospect ever. Now, I'm not sure about that. I've always given that mantle to Kareem AbdulJabbar, but I've always called this Victor the new age Kareem AbdulJabbar. And this was when I saw him back in the U19s, when he was just dominating Chet Holmgren, who went on to be a number 2 pick in the NBA draft. And he was 2 years younger than Chet. I really don't know what this kid is going to be. He has improved so much over the last year and a half that it is insane. It was startling to me to see the numbers that he put up in Vegas this week. It was crazy for somebody to play as good as Scoot Henderson played and not even really register on the NBA Twitter scale. Victor has dominated the news cycle. Yeah, this guy is going to be a problem for teams that plan on competing in the future. And when I say how he's going to bend the league, teams are going to actually have to roster guys that can at least defend him, that can at least bother him. And I don't know how that's going to look by the time he gets to the NBA. I don't know how that's going to look after he's been in the NBA 5 years. As you can see, we have these guys that come along. Wilt Chamberlain came in 1959, lasted to 73. Kareem AbdulJabbar came in 69, lasted to 89. Ralph Sampson came in 83, had injury problems, but he lasted to about the early 90s. Shaq came in 92, lasted to 2011. And then we kind of had the rise of, the Jordan wannabes, the big wings, because you got to remember, before Jordan, most shooting guards were 6'2", 6'3", that kind. Guys that were 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", they were forwards. There were not too many shooting guards as big as Jordan when he came in. So he brought in the rise of the 6'5" to 6'9" guy that can dribble, pass, and shoot. And we saw that era. And we saw the rules kind of change to fit that area to kind of put a damper on bigs. So you haven't really had a big dominate since Shaq, between Shaq and Giannis. And as you can see, when Giannis came to dominating, his domination came because he had high-level ball skills. Now, I didn't say he had some kind of crazy bag where he was dribbling the ball like a point guard, but he can dribble and he can get down the court, and he was immensely athletic, long arms, strong as an ox. So he kind of a little bit reshaped it, but it wasn't as intense as what Victor Wembanyama is going to do. So I don't know how teams are going to contend with this. You're going to have teams trying to get these guys that are 7 foot tall, athletic, that can get up and maybe bother his shot, keep up with him at least, keep him off the boards. I don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what his final form is going to look like. And that is so exciting to me. We have no idea what he's going to look like in the future, what teams are going to need to do to stop him. Because you can, if you remember, Shaq is probably the one guy that you can remember that really did this. Shaq caused teams to have, that wanted to compete in the playoffs, to have two big goons just to beat up on Shaq on their team. These guys were low skilled, very little offense, but they were just there to beat up Shaq. And this is what I'm talking about. You're going to have to get somebody on your team to contend with this guy. And these guys that when they come in, these guys are not like Joker, Giannis, Embiid, AD. They're not like these guys. These guys are game changers in which they are going to be guys that elevate their teams to the upper echelon of contention in the NBA early on, just like Shaq, just like Ralph Sampson, just like Kareem, just like Wilt did. These guys, as soon as they hit the court, their teams become contenders because the other teams cannot deal with them. So, guys, it's going to be very exciting following Victor Wembanyama throughout the rest of his non-NBA season. I'm hoping he stays very healthy. And, man, we haven't even got to the rest of this draft. Not even got to Scoop. We're going to talk about Scoop probably this weekend. But this draft is going to be bananas. Bananas. It's going to be a crazy draft. Man, I just hope you guys are ready for what's going to come. And that, I mean, our dreams of Jaren Jackson being the full-time center and the Grizzlies going with some kind of form of small ball. Small ball is dead, folks. There will be no small ball. The era of Victor Wembanyama is almost upon us. That era will be dictated by immense size and immense skill and immense athleticism. The quality of play in the NBA has been ratcheting up the last few seasons, and it is not stopping anytime soon. If you watched either one of those two performances in Vegas by Victor Wembanyama, let me know what you thought about his performances in the comments section. Subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notification, and like this video so we can get that algorithm popping again. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, one more thing. I might be going live tonight during the game or right after the game. So look out for that on the channel. I will put a notice up on if I'm going to do either one or which one I'm going to do. So be on the look out for that later on today. And also, we're going to be reviewing the game versus Miami tomorrow morning. So I will talk to you guys then. Peace.